言義異人無語如税名無用と者日がまに修行縁女開心のんぺ有脈十目如来予言小生無輪小学第四コル実法開門精進三昧知恵意徳無量修正形有人体前年小分崩壊愚人人の空語外体無明欲ぬ生存用無人の死死人徳無量空君古代知恵人名光明一層神道大仙願が差仏在所法可動生じ未不下大不正上位解任精進行税三昧知恵以上合成特分不行志願一切空空一切大安慶死有仏百千の万無量大小修行語者宿用一切死と勝負不良愚道検証不逆異尿語者勝負世界不不影無修戦の光明師匠変師匠国行税精進異人難量量が差仏国土第一号宗奇妙道場超絶国女内容任務とそがと愛民道断日祭実法来生新年少女意図が国下落安穏公文神妙税が心象本願の非力少々欲実法生存知恵無下上領子孫知が信用軽量心死食毒中画行精進忍術不敬ナマンナブナマンナ 願にしくどく平等性祭道恩母大心往生な Please join me in 合唱。南無阿弥陀仏。南無阿弥陀仏。南無阿弥陀仏。南無阿弥陀仏。南無阿弥陀仏。南無阿弥陀仏。南無阿弥陀仏。Okay, good morning, everyone. Today is the Shotsuki Hoyo, or the day we observe those members who have passed away in the month of February. We're also observing Nirvana Day, which is set for February 15th, and it is the day that Shakyamuni Buddha passed away from this world. So his physical body perishes on this day, and he is said to pass into what we call nirvana, or the end of all attachments altogether. Okay, so we have to keep in mind that, you know, even though he attained liberation while in this life, he still had his physical body, so he had to eat, and, you know, he had these kinds of physical attachments. So on the day that he actually died, we say he attained parinirvana. Okay, so Bodhi Day is December 8th, and then Nirvana Day is February 15th. I know it's a little bit confusing, but that's the difference there. Okay. So I want to ask the Dharma School children, do you remember your first birthday? Okay, what is the earliest birthday that you can remember? Okay, do you remember what kind of presents that you have received? Or let's go even back further than that. How many of you remember being born? Right, that's very hard to do. That's very hard to remember, I think. And so okay, let's go even further back than that. Do you remember being in your mother's stomach or your mother's womb? Right, that's probably very difficult to remember, but it did happen. We don't remember this, but not only does this show how has changed since then and how much we forget over time, it also goes to show how much goes on behind the scenes that make our lives possible now. We have no idea just how much we are being supported by our mothers, our parents, or our families, or our friends, etc., etc. Keep this in mind for, you know, Mother's Day when it comes up, right? But anyway, I like to give you a commonly given story in Shin Buddhism that helps to explain the relationship between Amida Buddha, or the Buddha, and myself. And that is the relationship between a mother and her baby. Okay, this is just one way to describe Amida Buddha's compassion. It's not the only way, but I'd like to talk about this specific example today. More specifically, I'd like to tell you about the example of what we call the navel example, okay? Or medically speaking, the umbilical cord, okay? All children, okay, point to your navel. Where is your navel? Or what we call in common language, your belly button. Where is your belly button, okay? In Japanese, they call it the oheso, oheso. Where is your belly button? Let's see. You know, where is that? Okay. Do you know that the navel or belly button served a very important role in your upbringing? Right? We look at our belly button now and think it's just a piece of decoration or something on our stomach, but at one time, this umbilical cord was our lifeline. It is through this umbilical cord that our mother gave us the proper nutrients to be able to grow from a fetus to a baby, right? We slowly grow and grow and grow until it's time for us to enter into this world. The umbilical cord not only connected us physically to our mom, but it nurtured us with love and support, even though we did not recognize that it was there. We just lived our lives growing up, not knowing about this support, but we kept growing and growing until our time came to be born. It's almost a seamless process on our end, right? We barely even notice it. But really, what is happening is that our mother constantly worked hard for us to be born. She worried about us. Our mother worried about what would be the proper nutrients to take in order to be able to give birth to her child. Our mother constantly worried about the different harms that could possibly occur and tried her best to take care of her unborn child to make sure that the child was going to be safe. I remember when my sister had her first child, that was the first child in the whole family. So she was very careful. So she wouldn't even drink caffeine, right? So I remember her doing that. She was very cranky every day. But so on our end, we have no idea the immense amount of work it took for our birth to be possible. We have no idea how much of a struggle and the amount of suffering that was necessary in order for our birth to be possible. Not even the fathers understand this. Now we can see just how true the words are in the reading, The Three Treasures, where it states, "Hard is it to be born into human life, now we are living it." Right? This is referring to just how difficult it was for us to be able to be born in this world. It is my mother's wish that I would be born, and I am constantly being raised and nurtured within this love and support. In much the same way, Amida Buddha is like our mother. Amida Buddha works to bring us to be born in the Pure Land. We have no idea how much work it took in order for our birth to be possible. On our side, it's almost seamless. Amida Buddha wishes that we are born in the Pure Land, the world of infinite life. And the Buddha says to us, I promise that you will be born in the Pure Land. You will always be in light and in warmth in the Pure Land. So do not worry. So, how does the Buddha do this then? The Buddha gives us the proper nutrients that nurtures us and brings us to awaken to the world of the Pure Land. And those nutrients we collectively call Namo Amida Butsu, the Nembutsu. Okay. Our mother takes in these nutrients, works hard to raise us, and worries and cares for us. Amida Buddha, in much the same way, provides us with this Nembutsu and has worked hard to ensure that we have a path to be born in the Pure Land. There is nothing on our part other than to entrust ourselves to our mother's hard work, Amida Buddha's hard work that will bring us to the Pure Land. Our Buddha nature is in Amida Buddha's compassion. So Amida Buddha gives us the nutrients we need to be born in the Pure Land, and the nutrients we call the Nembutsu. And then that's when we say, thank you, Amida Buddha. I will not turn my back to you or hurt you, just as I would not hurt my own mother. Right? Thank you, Amida, for bringing me to understand this world of great compassion. So next time you look at your belly and you see your navel or oheso, remember this story of how you are being supported by so many things in this world that we have no idea just how much our lives are possible because of the people who love us, the things around us, or the very world that we live in. Our oheso is our connection. Our connection to what, you might ask? It is our connection to a great love that we have all but forgotten about, but the Buddha is always trying to remind us about. Okay, and with that, I would like to end the Dharma talk for the Dharma School children. Please join me in Gassho. Namo Amida Butsu. 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 Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sensei. Please join me in reciting the Golden Chain 1 on page 15. I am a link in Amida's golden chain of love that stretches around the world. I will keep my link bright and strong. I will be kind and gentle to every living thing and protect all who are weaker than myself. I will think pure and beautiful thoughts, say pure and beautiful words, and do pure and beautiful deeds. May every link in Amida's golden chain of love be bright and strong, and may we all attain perfect peace. Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu.
The mind that seeks to save all sentient beings is directed to us through Amida's vow of wisdom. Those who realize this true entrusting that is directed to us attain great, complete nirvana. 土主上心ということは、皆志願のエコーなり、 エコーの信行を売る人は大発涅槃を悟るなりと何万ダブス、何万ダブス、何万ダブス、何万ダブス。Great, thank you very much. Well, good morning again. I would like to continue with this example between a mother and her child being connected at the umbilical cord. Just a disclaimer though, I've said it in the last Dharma talk, but again, I want to reiterate that this example of the relationship between a mother and a child is but one example of how to explain the relationship between Amida Buddha and the sentient being. So I'm not saying that it must be this way. I am very well aware of the fact that there might be many different, cases and situations that may not manifest this kind of a relationship. To which I just want to say that this is just one example, okay, of many different examples that I have been introducing to you to try and depict the relationship between Amida Buddha and the sentient being. Okay, so I just kind of want to put that out there. So again, going back to this umbilical cord issue, that we receive the nutrients that is needed to nurture and develop us to grow and eventually be able to be born in the Pure Land. And the nutrients that we receive from Amida Buddha is collectively called Nembutsu or Namo Amida Butsu. So on our part, our birth in the Pure Land almost seems seamless. There is no requirement on our part that is necessary to be born in the Pure Land. All we have to do is entrust ourselves to Amida Buddha's compassionate working that brings us to awaken to this understanding. But as Shinran Shonin explains, true entrustment or shinjin is the most difficult of all difficulties. Why? Because we awaken to this understanding not through our own efforts called jiriki, but rather in the encountering of Amida's compassionate working called tariki. So to put this into perspective in the example that I just gave, we awaken to our mother's love for us while in this womb, right? In much the same way, we awaken to Amida Buddha's compassionate activity while in this life. How difficult is that? Because we don't normally recognize this love while in the womb, right? Let alone have memory in the womb, right? There isn't this direct or concrete feeling in which we know we are embraced. Or is there? How do we know for sure? But as I mentioned before, there are glimpses when we can see or feel compassionate working. There are certain instances in which we can feel or sense that we are part of something much larger, much greater, and much, much more all embracing than we cannot quite pin down with our thoughts and words, but we can just feel. Now, to the critic or the skeptic, that person might say, well, that's just you wanting to feel warmth. That's just you wanting to feel embraced, right? And that might be. But to a Shin Buddhist, it is much more than that. To a Shin Buddhist, she feels part of the world or part of reality. And this is what is described in the sacred Pure Land writings as, quote, being in accordance to reality, end quote, which in simple layman's terms means we are part of it all. We are going with the flow. We are in the moment, if you will. When we are brought to tears, when we part with a loved one, and you feel that pain, right? It is much more than just a loss, right? You feel absolutely engrossed in or absolutely enveloped within this dynamic life movement. You feel pain and suffering. But amidst this pain and suffering, there is this rare occasion in which you feel a moment of greater honest. We are being brought up or nurtured to understand a world that is much more than just our own egocentric world. These powerful experiences, where we are shaken to our core, become ways in which we are being shown a greater world of reality that is beyond the one we know. These experiences don't just involve bad or unpleasant things like a death in the family. These experiences also involve positive, happy, or pleasant things as well. For example, a moving scene in a movie or a play, or perhaps in a novel. You might feel it when your child is born, or when you watch your nephew or your niece grow up. The joy that comes up within you, but also in that same exact moment, you feel the sadness in knowing that this moment will pass. One day your kids will grow up. One day you will grow old. One day you will have to part with those whom you love. These are all examples that the Buddha explains to us. But yet, there is this lingering feeling that this was all meant for something, right? This is what I mean by being part of something greater than just myself. Again, here we are being nurtured to understand great life, a reality beyond our own egocentric worlds. There is this feeling of being part of a greater reality, that all of this is not meaningless, that there is a purpose to this. Your sufferings, your joys, and every emotion in between, such as nostalgia or natsukashi, right, feeling, these are all ways in which great life is speaking to you. Every moment now is a moment in which you are being nurtured to understand this world of true reality. When something bad happens to us, like a death of a loved one or a car accident, or someone gets sick, right, with a terminal illness, as Buddhists, we shouldn't place importance on such questions like, why did this happen to me? Or what did I do to deserve this? Instead, we should ask the questions like a question, why did this happen for me? What am I supposed to learn from this? This is what Buddhism teaches us to ask ourselves in self-reflection. Even when something good or positive or happy happens to me, I should ask the same questions. Why did this happen for me? What am I supposed to learn from this? When we ask ourselves these questions, we start to see life in a very different perspective from before. We start to see its deep meaning rather than constantly chasing our egocentric dreams and attachments. You see, for the philosopher, such as the nihilist or the existentialist, or other naysayers like critic or the skeptic, this world of great life is nothing more than just simply the physical world, right? But for the Jodo Shinshu Buddhist, we see true reality is that which is compassionate. Right? That's the key difference. Great life does care that we are part of it. True reality does, in fact, embrace us. We see true reality as infinite life and light. In short, we see it as our mother, Amida Buddha, and the Buddha's compassion. It puts a whole new perspective to the term Mother Nature. Our mother is Amida Buddha. This world is one in which Amida Buddha speaks to us in the form of the name Namo Amida Butsu. So Amida Buddha is showing us that warm feeling that you get is not just some warm feeling that you simply want to feel. Instead, you are a part of something much greater than you previously thought. And that is how reality is speaking to us right now. So when someone you love dies and you feel great loss and pain, that is the moment in which Amida Buddha speaks to you and says, I am here for you. You are not alone. It's kind of sad, really, because the only time we open up our hearts is in our most vulnerable moments, right? Such as the loss of a loved one. And that's why this religion is so hard to grasp. That's why it is the quote unquote most difficult of all difficulties to understand, as our founder Shinai Shonin explains. This religion is not speaking on the plane of do this and you'll live a better life. Don't do this, live like this. You need to follow these set of rules to live a good life and then you'll be okay, right? This religion is not about living by a specific set of rules or ethical conduct. This religion isn't about living a specific ethical life so that I can somehow ensure that I will go to a better place when I die. I know that's what we're programmed to think about, think that religion is supposed to be about, right? But Shin Buddhism, in its truest purpose, isn't about this at all. It's about awakening to great life that accepts us unconditionally and guaranteeing everyone that there is a path to spiritual liberation. All we need to do is open our hearts and hear this teaching. But that is the difficulty. In Japanese, they say, これがなかなかできないことなんですよね。Unfortunately, what we need to hear, we are only willing to hear in the rarest instances of our lives. But it is in these moments, if we do truly receive Amida Buddha's calling voice, that's when we know we will be okay. There isn't some difficult condition that we have to meet in order to prove ourselves worthy of salvation. There is nothing like that. We don't have to be mendicant monks or live strict lives, right? Rather, Amida Buddha tells us we will be okay as we are. And that's the beauty of this teaching. It is in these moments where, if we recall Amida Buddha's compassionate working, that's when we can say, yes, Amida, I hear you. Thank you for awakening me to this world of unconditional wisdom and compassion. We often hear that we never really understand our parents' love for us, either until we have children of our own or until we get much older ourselves, right? But I tell you, the other day, I stopped my son Kasai from falling off the couch, right? And then he said to me, "Thank you, Papa," right? And he really meant it, right? And I felt it. I felt that he was really saying thank you, right? And so, in much the same way, we can understand Amida Buddha's compassion, even within this world of utter delusion. This life is the rare opportunity in which we can awaken to the Buddha's compassion. And when we encounter it, feel it, and know it, can we then respond by saying thank you, Namo Amida Butsu. Right? And with that, I would like to end today's talk. Please join me in Gassho. The mind that seeks to save all sentient beings is directed to us through Amida Buddha's vow of wisdom. Those who realize this true entrusting that is directed to us attain great, complete nirvana. Namo Amida Butsu. 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 Namo Amida Butsu.浄土真宗の生活信条、一つ御仏の誓いを信じ、尊い皆を唱えつつ、強く明るく生き抜きます。一つ御仏の光を仰ぎ、常に我が身を顧みて、感謝のうちに励みます。一つ御仏の教えに従い、正しい道を聞き分けて、誠の実りを広めます。一つ御仏の恵みを喜び、互いに敬い助け合い、社会のために尽くします。ナモアミダブツ、ナモアミダブツ、ナモアミダブツ、ナモアミダブツ、ナモアミダブツ。では、日本語の方を、始めさせていただきたいと思います。皆さん、おはようございます。最近、天気が良くなり、居心地がいい、過ごしやすい時間がやってきた感じがします。しかし、どうかまだ心を、緩めないように、コロナに十分注意を払って、ください。この頃、ニュースを見ますと、いろいろな困ったことが出てきたことがわかります。例えば、アジア人に対する暴行事件が最近起きるようになってきました。そして政治家が事実でないもの、つまり、陰謀説、conspiracy というですね、それを信じて、それを広める人が増えてきました。政治の話は避けますが、しかしその人たちの意見を聞きますと、なぜ、このような考えを持つのかと、思いますね。最近の情報型、時代では、どのようにして本当に正確な情報と不正確な情報を区別するのか、そしてその不正確な情報を媒介する人たちにどのように責任をもたらすのか、非常に、不安を感じます。浄土真宗では、妙高人、これは妙という wonder ですね。妙、高は好む、人。妙高人というお念仏の教えを非常に、喜んだ方に対して使う言葉があります。その中の一人である朝原佐一さん、というお方がおられました。この方は、ある時、絵師、ペインターですね。ポートレートペインターに、鬼が仏様を拝んでいる絵を描いてくださいと、描いてくださいと、頼みました。さらに、その鬼を自分の顔に似たように描いてくださいと言ったそうです。さらに、その描いた額に、角を生やしたところまで、描いてくださいと注文したそうです。そして、その描いた絵を香港の時に、 お寺の本堂にかけてもらったそうです。周りの人たちには、浅原佐一さんは大変温和な、人だと見えて、いたかもしれないけど、実は自分の心の中は鬼のような恐ろしいものがあるのだとあるのだと、知らせたかったのです。しかし、そうであるからこそ、周りの人たちからは、彼は非常に優しい、人に見えたのでしょう。自分の醜い、いや、見たくないところが心の中にあると分かりますと、やはり自分に対する見方、または他人に対する見方が変わるのではないでしょうか。自分の愚かさがいかに恐ろしいものなのか。実は浄土真宗の信仰というものは、この恥が、必ず入るのであります。これは一体どういう関係なのかと最初は思うかもしれませんが、浄土真宗の信仰というのは、ただ単に仏様を信じるのではないのです。自分の信仰心を通して何かを信じるときは、やはりまだ自分の力に頼っているわけなのですね。そして自分の力に頼っているということは、自分をどこかで誇りに思っているということになるのです。つまりまだ自己中心的な考え方を肯定しているわけなんです。先ほど申しました陰謀説、conspiracy theory を信じる政治家を見ていますと、やはり自分を誇りに思っているのですね。ですから、いくら自分はいい人なんだ、あるいは信仰者だと言ったとしても、それは結局自分に対する信仰、フェイなんですね。非常に気持ち悪い感じがします。したがって、自分が正しい、他人が悪いんだ、自分が正当である、他者が悪者なんだと、このような考え方に陥るのです。これは仏教でいう無明の中の無明です。It is being ignorant of my ignorance ということなんですね。浄土真宗から見ますと、本当の信仰でないのです。これはまだ不十分な信仰なのです。浄土真宗の本当の信仰、つまり信心と言いますが、信心には必ず恥がないといけないわけなのです。つまり、自分はパーフェクトな人間じゃないですよ。自分勝手なところがたくさんありますよ。ないと思っているのは気づいていないだけなんですよと教えてくださるのが仏様の教えなのです。仏様の働きと出会いますと、自分の心の中の汚いところ、自分の心の中の鬼というものに気づかせていただきます。しかし、ここがポイントなんですけど、自分の心の中に鬼はいるが、鬼がいるからこそ仏様に抱かれているのだと教えてくださるのが仏様の誓いなのです。鬼がいるからこそ仏様と出会えるのです。しかし、ここはまたよく現代の人たちが引っかかるところなんですけれども、じゃあ、鬼がいないといけないなら、悪いことをやりたい放題でやっちゃえばいいじゃんと、ね、そういうふうに思う、人たちがいるかもしれません。しかし、親鸞上人は、このような誤解は、その人たちは本当に自分の愚かさに気づいていないのだと説明になられます。悪いことをやりたい放題でするのは、結局まだ自分の自己中心的な考え方に惑わされているのです。つまり自分が無知であることが未だわからないということなのです。話を戻しますが、信心を喜んだ念仏者は自分を誇りに思っている人ではありません。むしろ自分の心の中の見たくないところ、見にくいところがあるとわかる凡夫のことであります。そしてこれがわかるからこそ仏様の働きに帰依することができるのです。私たちはありのままで大丈夫なんだと教えてくださるのが阿弥陀様のご本願なのです。そしてさらに自分に対してだけでなく他人に対してでも心が柔軟的になることが可能となるのです。それはなぜかと言いますと、自分がいつまで経っても生かされているのだと分かるからであります。 最後に繰り返して言いますが、浄土真宗における信仰は、自分を誇りに思って自分が正しいのだと押し付けるものではありません。自分がいつまで経っても煩悩具足の凡夫、つまり自己中心的な自分であるのだと恥ずかしく思える人が念仏者です。しかし、その恥ずかしいと思う心が不思議なことにかえって力になるのです。これは自分からの力ではなく、仏様の働きからの力、つまり他力から来るものなのです。真実のものは真実であると分かるとき、自分がいかに真実でないことが分かるのです。そして、水が上から下に流れてくるように、仏様の知恵をいただくときに、私たちの手が勝手に合唱し、頭が勝手に下がるわけなんです。なぜかというと、この人生とすべてのご縁がありがたくなるからであります。皆さん、本日はようこそのお参りでございました。最後に合唱をお願いいたします。ナモ阿弥陀仏。ナモ阿弥陀仏。ナモ阿弥陀仏。ナモ阿弥陀仏。ナモ阿弥陀仏。ナモ阿弥陀仏。